How's it going?
Morning, Michael. Very well, actually. Sun is shining again. Again, it's in Yorkshire, of all places. Deepest, darkest north.
Nice. I love the way we just can't start a conversation without talking about the weather.
We are English. It's like it's in our genes. It's impossible not to do it.
We could we be any more English, in the words of Chandler Bing?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's actually rained down here as well for the first time in a while. I was going to do this outside, but the rain scuppered it. Now that is typical English, right?
That is. Rain stops play.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll in. So yeah, basically we're going to talk about and I've just seen a little typo which I'm going to correct whilst we're actually talking here. How motivation is overrated and maybe what to think about, I think, and focus on instead. Because the reason we're doing this, and I'm sure your views are probably the same as mine, is that I've got a Facebook group, and I asked 3 questions when they come in, and I would say I reckon about 90% of people say it's a lack of motivation. Literally, about 9 out of 10 would say it's a lack of motivation. They don't normally say my diet's poor, because maybe they don't look at it like that. They don't say I'm short on time. Maybe sometimes, but I'd say that the big thing that most people come in saying is lack of motivation. So we want to help you with that. And I'm sure. Do you find that as well, Tom?
Yeah, it's a very, very common to say, and I hear it all the time when I speak to people in person as well. So I'm just not feeling motivated right now. And it was funny, we're chatting in the gym yesterday, me and the guy, my little gym buddy, and another guy there. All of us were feeling unmotivated to when we're in there, and none of us were feeling particularly kind of no oomph to do it. So there was no motivation to do it. So it kind of, it's funny that it came up yesterday just for us as well.
Yeah, so I think you see, obviously, people saying lack of motivation, or you even, hear people go, I wish I had your motivation. And it's like, well, let's just get into it. Like, I think first thing to nip in the bud straight away is that if you're relying on motivation, you're going to struggle. Because as we know, motivation is finite. And I always say, I explain it like the wind. It literally comes and goes like the wind. So if you're wake up in the morning and going, am I motivated today? Right, I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah, that's great. But what about if you wake up and go, I'm not motivated today? Oh, I'm not going to go. You're probably going to have way more days when you're unmotivated than days you are motivated. And I'm sure, same like you speak with your guys yesterday, no one in the whole world is ever always motivated to. If we're looking at just training, by the way, that's just training. You're not always going to be motivated to choose a salad over swinging by McDonald's, are you? It's just the reality is it's pretty much impossible, I'd say.
Right? And if you make it into look at other things in life like work, we're not always motivated to go to work, but we have to do it. We have to get up and go and do it. So again, it's and so that's maybe getting to slightly maybe the reason why.
Yeah, but I think the reason on that is if you think about work, there's leverage, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because if you don't go to work, you can't pay your bills. You're going to have a roof over your head. You're not going to eat. So that leverage is high. Yeah, whereas I think when it comes to health, if you miss a gym session, nothing happens, right? Does it? Say you've been going to the gym consistently for a few years, and then you miss a few gym sessions, nothing really changes. You look in the mirror, nothing really changes. But if you do that and you eat bad for the next year, you look in the mirror in a year's time, things change. So I think part of it where people can maybe lose motivation is nothing really happens straight away. It's probably a bit like brushing your teeth. If you didn't brush your teeth for a few days, you might have stinky breath, but nothing's really going to happen. Don't brush your teeth for a year and your dentist is going to be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, and like you said about work and having to pay your bills, that leverage. I remember reading somewhere that most people in this country are 19 if they're 19 days away from having no money. So if they don't get paid on the payday, they've got 19 days, and then that's it. You've run out of all your reserves and you've got nothing left. So there is a very quick consequence of you not doing of saying I'm not going to work anymore. Whereas you're right, I think with health, it is a slow burner. It does take time, and if you look in the mirror every single day, you're not going to see any change.
Yeah,
from day to day.
Simon Sinek, I shared. He had like a little reel, and it was I can't remember. He's talking to someone. He's like, "That's the thing with the gym. That's the thing with exercise. That's the thing with maybe wanting to change your physique is that you can go to the gym a few days in a row, look in the mirror every single day, and you don't see any change. But what the key is, and this is what maybe sets people that do get to where they want to get to, is they know if they continue down that path, eventually they'll start to see the change. But it doesn't happen overnight. The same way weight doesn't go on overnight. You've got to.
And maybe it's what you're talking about is discipline and actually forgetting about motivation. Yeah. And the same, and exactly the reason why the three blokes yesterday, me included, were chatting in the gym about not feeling motivated to be there. All three of us were there, and maybe we didn't feel like we had the best workout. We didn't do as much as we would do, and we didn't kind of go in with a load of excitement and oomph, but we certainly left with a feeling of, I got it done, and I've maintained or moved closer to something. But that's a discipline thing, and I think partly helped by the fact that I'm meeting someone there as well.
Yeah, that helps. We've talked about this a lot. We're quite good at letting ourselves down. We don't necessarily want to let other people down. So I think, get a gym partner. That's one simple solution. But I think if we go back to just looking at, the word motivation, I always think to myself, when someone says I'm not motivated, I always think, do you know what? I actually think you are motivated, because you've come, and if I give the Facebook group, for example, you've come and joined the group, right? So there is some element of motivation to want to make these changes. And when you hear some of the diets that people try and some of the, crazy exercise plans, you think of January, motivation's actually quite high.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of these people do things that I wouldn't want to do. These crazy diets that I think, no way I could do that. So it's like, well, is it actually true that your motivation, you haven't got motivation? I actually think you do have motivation. That runs out, you don't see results, and then you give up.
Yeah, actually, you're right there. I hadn't thought of it that way. Actually, their ability to be motivated to fix it means that they can actually do some pretty extreme stuff. So I suppose it's a matter of thinking of changing that view on it and going, do you know what? When I really put my mind to it, I'm actually quite good at this, and just I might have chosen the wrong things to do.
Yeah, things that don't work for me. You hear of these crazy things. I don't know, like juicing and really like going on a long fast. Some things that require a lot of determination, a lot of discipline, and I think a lot of guys, especially, I've spoken to so many guys that are like, I pretty much starved myself, and I lost a load of weight, but obviously it weren't good for me. And I'm like, dude, I couldn't do that. No. But if I'm not eating food, I'm not probably the happiest person to be around, So I think, reframe that motivation. And also, I think one thing, I think it's James Clear that talks about it, like, make it so easy you almost can't fail. So that's, again, that's maybe like preparing your gym kit before, like, you go to work, you go straight from work, like making all these things easy, like, doing a food shop so you've got things prepared, all these things help. Make it so easy, you can't fail.
That does take a little bit of a leap of faith, though.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely an overriding feeling that when it comes to health, and say we're talking about losing weight, particularly maybe that's the thing that people find the hardest to do, is because they found it hard, and because maybe there's a proliferation of quite extreme ways of losing weight, that the solution has to be really difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And there is a shift of going, do you know what? If it feels easy and I'm steadily losing weight, then it's good. And there's also something I can remember being read that the problem with things that are easy to do, they're also very, very easy not to do as well.
Yeah.
So because
I guess if you think about it, you might think, well, it won't matter too much if I don't do this thing because it's so easy.
And that's a psychological thing.
It can't be having that much of an impact, but it really does. These little things stack up like so much. They really do. They really do compound.
It's like one thing I try and drill into my clients when if we're losing weight, and I'll say, how hard has it been, and they'll say, oh, it hasn't been hard at all. And I say, oh, it's been quite easy then. Yeah, I haven't done anything extreme. And I'm like, what does that tell you? What does that? And I'm like, I'm drilling it in. What does it tell you? Oh,
Yeah.
actually, this isn't that hard. Really? So do you believe that? Yes. And it's like every single week drilling it in. We're not doing anything extreme, and we're losing weight, and we're feeling better. Is it difficult? No. So it's like reaffirming it over and over
that
again.
conversation's so funny though, isn't it? Because you're like, everyone's like, your clients go, I thought it'd be harder than this. And I think what's important to recognize is that maybe the process, you're trying to keep it very simple and manageable. But I always pull my clients up on the word easy because I'm like, change isn't easy. So yeah, you're doing it and you're moving forwards and the steps are quite simple, but give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing the things maybe 95% of the people aren't doing. So, you're making changes hard. We love sitting in our comfort zones, don't we? It's comfortable. We've got an identity, we don't want to step out and move forward and do things that are uncomfortable because that's the exact saying, comfort zone, we love it in there.
Yeah. And comfort zone doesn't have to be a happy place either.
No, agreed.
And again, it always reminds me of whenever somebody's comfort zone. It always reminds me of friends that I see when we first start getting girlfriends and they disappear off. When you first meet in the pub, and then you see them walking down the road, and your friend was slowly kind of looking happy but slowly expanding, and there was a definite kind of always in the comfort zone. And it is. It's an easier place, isn't it? But it's a matter of going. The comfort zone is generally doesn't get you anywhere when it comes to your health, and I don't know. It takes a little bit of work.
Dangerous place to be, I think, the comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get any growth there. It's the comfort zone for a reason. Yeah. I think if we just because I always think, say a guy comes in, they say they're struggling with motivation. First of all, maybe a conversation of identifying exactly what is the struggle, and then maybe a few things. Because struggling with motivation, that could mean anything. Because let's be honest, you don't need motivation if you're in a garage to go, I'm going to pick the healthier, high protein sandwich as opposed to the, I don't know, steak bake and a chocolate bar. That doesn't require motivation. Maybe what it does require, though, is reducing your stress so you make that conscious, better choice. Sleeping better again to you because if your energy levels, and we've spoken about this so much, maybe we should talk about it on the next one. If your energy levels are low and through the floor, then you're not going to make that good choice. So it's not motivation, it's maybe having the energy, having the headspace, clearing the brain fog. So you go, actually, I'm going to make that choice that's going to move me forwards instead of that crap food that makes me feel good about myself maybe for a period of time. And that's a little bit maybe a deeper one. Sometimes we eat through our emotions or our stresses and things like that, but I don't think we've got time to get into that today, right?
But I think that's a good example, that service station example, and because it's something that I see all the time. People kind of, their eyes are magnetically drawn towards this, and they say, "Oh, I've got you waiting there," and even people might feel a bit awkward in the queue because we're all studying British silence, respectful silence. So sometimes it's something to either people pick up their phones or it's something to do. But I think if you go in, say beforehand, and go, I don't want to pick those things up, and actually say, I'll just do it once, just maybe on Mondays, I'll not do it. Yeah. And every time you do that, you make that choice, and you come out and go, do you know what, I did that. It's a bit like every time you go and you lift a weight, the muscle gets a little bit stronger.
Yeah,
and it's that choice. It's
doing the reps, aren't you?
Doing the reps, and again, you have to do your reps when it comes to making the right choices, or the choices that you want to make, and it just takes a little bit of time to do that.
Yeah, I also when I start to think about it more, I think the reason maybe people struggle with motivation is you have these gym bros that are you've got to be in the gym 5 times a week, training for an hour at a time, doing all these things when that's someone that maybe wants to look a certain way. You know, you've got a gym guy, he might be saying that's the best thing, but that's not the advice for the general population, is it? You know, if you train in the gym 3 times a week for probably 45 minutes to an hour, you're already in the top 5% pretty much when it comes to exercise. So, you know, if you can add you can add the nutrition and the habits and the sleep, you're probably going to move up to like the top 1%. You know, you don't have to do so much, but I think like I say, I think the gym bros and the clever marketers maybe pitch this. So you've got to do this, 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 and maybe just giving an unrealistic place for someone to start, really.
Yeah, and I suppose it's looking at like when you say gym bro, and I know I've got those images in my head of all these ones, and like I say, maybe it's looking at them and going, do you want to be that person?
Yeah,
that person is probably looks, probably not like you want to look, and probably has a lifestyle that you don't want to have, and he is also driven by a lot more than motivation.
Yeah,
to go into the gym and eat the way that those guys eat, you've got to have a really deep kind of why to do it. And if you want to have if somebody who is trying to get kind of massive, you've got to work really hard, and also it's not going to be much fun quite a lot of the time, because you're not going to be eating you're going to be eating a certain way. So I guess that comes down that's something else, is it's having a real reason to do it, and being just a little bit healthier isn't really good enough.
Yeah, and I also, and we'll get on to like the why, I think, in a minute. I also think you've got to be realistic with what you're doing. So, you know, yeah, if you go to the gym 5 times a week, eat really healthy, yeah, you might get there quicker. Think January, but is that suddenly going to be such a big change to your normal lifestyle that is completely unsustainable? And you're not gonna continue it. I always think about it a little bit like, you know, learning to drive. If you have one lesson a week, it's probably going to take a bit longer, but it's probably going to be a bit manageable, and you're not going to, I don't know, feel overwhelmed, and it's not going to feel too much. Or maybe if you have 5 lessons a week, and you know they're 2 hours at a time, you know, maybe you're not just going to be a bit unsustainable. You know, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You've got another driving lesson. You know, I always think, yeah, you might get there quicker, but I think the chance of you giving up when you're doing something completely different to your lifestyle is probably much higher. Would you agree with that? Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, it's overwhelm, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
overwhelming yourself, and again, maybe that plays into the psychology about it being difficult. It's I've got to do something big. January is I think it's a really good example of I've got to join the gym. I haven't been a member of a gym for
I've
years.
got to undo all the work. I've got to undo December as quick as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Get it over and done with, and I'm going to join a gym, even though I hate gyms. And I hear that all the time. Like, I don't actually like gyms, but I've joined a gym. It's another guy I was speaking to. He bought a treadmill in his house, and I was like,
Yeah.
why are you going to sit in your house and walk on a treadmill? Go out for a walk. I mean, it's
how much money have people spent on gym kit they never use in their house? Again,
Peloton.
Yeah.
During COVID, Peloton's shares went up massively, and I think, have they gone bust recently?
Or have they? I don't know.
Is it someone else? It's someone
maybe everyone's realised you could just go outside and go for a bike ride.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of, you don't need to do anything massive. If you're thinking, I just need to buy some equipment in my house and then I'll be motivated to do it. No.
By the way, though, if it works for you, absolutely great. But I think if the Peloton didn't work last time, the running machine's not going to work the next time. The cross training's not going to work the next time.
Yeah.
You know, you got to find something like, and I wouldn't want to do that, would you? Sitting indoors on a Peloton bike or a cross train or anything like that. No,
it's not my cup of tea.
Plus, it's just the exercise part as well, right? Which we know is not anywhere near as important as the food, reducing the stress and getting the sleep in place. You know, that saying, if you can't outtrain a bad diet, it's 100% true. Right. So I reckon we go, this is what I always think is, like, motivation is definitely finite, runs out, goes like the wind. Discipline's way more important. So doing the things that you say you're going to do, even when you don't want to do it, that's the way I see discipline. And then the next one, I think, and I'm sure you agree with this, is have a big, fat, strong why. Make
Yeah.
that why so strong and so inspiring that even on those days when the motivation's in the floor, you go, no, I'm going to do this because it's so important to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it can't just be, again, something that I hear a lot is oh, what are your goals? Said, oh, I just want to feel a bit fitter, be a bit, be a bit healthier, lose a bit of weight. And it's like it's just not, nothing wrong with if you're having those thoughts, nothing wrong with that, but it's just not enough to keep you going. It's not enough when it's, you say, if you said, I'm going to go for a run twice a week and it's raining and it's cold, that is not enough to get you out of bed at 6 a.m. and do it. Whereas if it's, I have to do this because it's so important, because I've written down this reason why, then you're going to go out and do it, even if you don't want to do it.
Yeah, I'd look at that as like make it inspiring. I think
Yeah.
a lot of weight loss things are so uninspiring. Take this out your diet. Do these things that maybe you don't want to do, like the people that go to the gym, although even though they don't like going to the gym, like doesn't sound that inspiring to me. But what about all the things that it adds to your life, by eating better food, better quality food, moving your body, getting more energy? Like you can even tell by my body language, you can uplift yourself by thinking about all the positive effects. Whereas I think when it comes to a lot of weight loss, it's always like losing weight, restricting foods, and of course there's an element of changing your food and stuff. But I think you're always looking at the negative side of things, which I think weight loss can be quite often. You're forgetting about all the positive things that come from it.
Yeah, and take that energy and take it a few steps further, can't you? And say, what? So what if you've got more energy? Well, what does that mean for your life? Oh, it means I can, I don't get those slumps in the afternoon. And say, well, again, so what? Why? What's the benefit there? Well,
Yeah.
when my kids come home from school at 5 o'clock, I've been going out this week and I've been playing cricket in the garden. Well, brilliant. And how does that make you feel? Oh, it's been awesome. My children have loved it. Brilliant. I mean, how would you like to still be doing that in when with your grandchildren? Do you know what? Yeah, do you know that would be really, really good with my grandchildren if I could do it with them. Again, wow, that's so
And then
much
you
bigger,
start
isn't
to
it?
get a vision as well, don't you?
Yeah. And the why changes. And like when you were saying there about the why, again, I'm thinking about what my why was. And I used to kind of think it was mostly tied into kind of being a good dad and all that. But actually, I think for me, it kind of evolves and it changes a
I
little
think
bit
it
kind of day
definitely
by day.
can. Yeah.
And I think now it's like, because it's so ingrained to my self-image that I look after myself in this way and I can do things. So it makes me, but now if I don't have that kind of level of energy and I'm not feeling that way, it makes it kind of worse than it did, because it's like it's not
Right. Yeah.
not
You
me.
set that standard.
Yeah. And even it's like I've been tired this week and more achy than usual, and it's like this feels a bit not like me, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of almost like chomping a bit to get over whatever's going on, to get back to being me.
Yeah. I think if you had to sort of sum what you're talking about there, I think it's just going to that deeper level of like literally like why. So, right, I want to lose a bit of weight to feel better. Why? Because right now I don't feel good and my energy levels are low. Why? Because I'm not looking after myself and I feel bad. Why would getting more energy levels be better for you? Like you say, because I run around the kids, maybe have sex with my wife more. Then you're starting to go, well, this is better. I'll have a closer relationship with my wife because I won't be tired all the time. I won't be highly stressed. Like you say, when our kids come home, I'm going to play with them. And then you start going deeper and deeper and deeper, and it becomes, I think, much more powerful
Mm.
and just going, oh, I just want to lose a bit of weight and feel better about myself, which is fine, of course. And maybe your goals are just quite modest to start with. But I also think, like you say, it's not that inspiring, is it?
No. And if it's really powerful, your brain, as you're talking about it, your brain makes the story, and your
Yeah.
brain doesn't know whether that's something you're looking at, whether it's actual reality, or whether it's not. And if you've got that story in your head, you actually and you visualize playing cricket with your grandchildren, and you maybe thought that you wouldn't get to do that. Your brain, you get all those feel good chemicals in your head that go, do you know what, this is your reality, even though it's not. So
Yeah.
so every time, again, if you take that to now, and me going, am I gonna go to the gym? My brain goes, well, if you don't get that fun future, so you're not going to get that nice feeling. you go, do you know what? I want that nice feeling, even though. So it's the how the brain creates these chemicals that makes you do it. It's a is it a trick? It's not a trick, but but I'm rambling a bit. But you know what I mean?
I mean, it's a powerful thing because at the end of the day, you've got to train your brain just as much as your body. Well, if not more potentially, because that's the mindset. Everyone says they struggle with their mindset as well, right? You only can strengthen that by proving to yourself that you're going to go out and do these things. Right? So LinkedIn user, what are the areas? Is this recorded, please? I'd love to stay, but I'm in another meeting. Yeah, on here it doesn't say who that is. So once it is recorded, so we can send it over. It always goes up onto YouTube as well. The main areas are, I think, make it so easy you can't fail. So you're not always relying on motivation. Take action first, I would say, as well. I think people read so much. They diet plans, best thing for this, best thing for that. Well, why don't you just take action?
There is no best thing.
Yeah, whatever you think is a step forward, take action. A walk, a healthy breakfast. Feel good that you're doing that, and do it again. Do it again. Repetition builds consistency. Get a big fat why. Give yourself a chance.
Yeah, and then I made a little document. It's a simple document for my clients with that why exercise.
Yeah,
and I got them to write in their goal at the top, and then they've got to fill in these whys, and they've got to take each step and go, right, my goal is to lose, I don't know, 20 pounds. Why? Oh, well, I feel overweight. Okay, why? Where's that showing up? Why do you feel overweight? And it would get down to the bottom, and it would give them the answer right at the bottom.
nice. The answer that's normally way deeper than the one they give at the top.
Oh yeah, I mean the weight is almost like the easy bit to fix, and actually the creating the actual vision for the future, that's probably the harder bit. But once it's done, it's there. But going back to the small things and making it easy, if you don't, again, what would you say? There might be people out there saying, I don't believe you. I found it really hard. I've tried all these things. It's really a struggle. So what would you say to them, Michael?
I'd say if that's happened, maybe some of the things that you've implemented weren't the right things at the right time. I think what people do is they might go straight into tracking calories or look at macros and things like that. Because again, the gym bros have said it. And it's like, well, if you're not drinking the right amount of water, if you're not trying to get a bit of a higher protein in your diet, if your sleep's poor, there's things that are way more important to figure out first. So it might be some of the things that you're implementing just aren't at the right time. And maybe they haven't worked after a week or two. So you tell yourself, this isn't working. And maybe part of that can be that you've tried loads of things in the past and your brain's just taking you back to before, well, I can never lose weight in the past, because you're going off your previous experiences, aren't you? Yeah. Well, I can't lose weight. I've never lost weight before. Or no, I have lost weight, but the weight's always gone back on. So that's what my thoughts would be. Maybe implementing things that aren't the right things at the right time. So I often think about it like, if you baked a cake, you have all the ingredients, but if you put them in the wrong order, or you're missing some ingredients, you're not going to bake a cake. There's a reason why you go for a recipe and it works and it tastes good and it rises, you bring it out the oven and it looks great. If you don't follow the recipe correctly, or there's ingredients missing that are probably really important at the beginning, you're gonna have a crap cake.
Yeah, I like that example, and that reminds me of a guy I was speaking to the other week. His initial message was, Tom, what do you think of it? It's intermittent fasting, and I was like, well, I can say I've got no particular thoughts either way. Would I tell someone to do it or tell someone not to do it? I don't know. But he didn't actually know
it's like diagnosis without prescription, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't actually know what he was consuming before.
Yeah.
So it's like that again. That's the exact thing. It's a few steps down the line.
Yeah.
The first step would be, okay, what are you eating right now? Oh, I don't know. So why would you prescribe a protocol, intermittent fasting, when actually you don't actually know the problem?
Yeah, you can't prescribe that, can you? Because you've got no idea what his lifestyle looks like, what his shift patterns are, like food habits. You've got no picture of anything. No. It's like literally like, I imagine this again. I like analogies. Like you drive your car into a garage, and imagine the garage person comes in, he looks at your car, don't even look under the bonnet, and goes, right, that's the problem. Dude, you've not even looked under the bonnet.
Yeah,
you'd be miffed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and you'd You probably pay to get it fixed and then have to come back and fix the real problem.
Yeah, what cowboy's this, mate? You've not even looked under the bonnet. Yeah, so maybe like have yeah, I don't think we need to get into that really, because I think let's keep this focused on why motivation's overrated and what to focus on. So yeah, I mean, I think we've given a lot of value there. I think if we summed it up, would you say what small sustainable changes that feel almost so easy you can't fail? Would that be one?
Yeah, and take a bit of faith from us, because that's what we've done, and we've worked with a lot of people, and that's how we work, and that's how we get the results. So again, if it doesn't
no more
sound
than 3 changes a week, that's it.
Yeah, if it doesn't sound like that's not enough, guys. Just go, okay, just take a little bit of a leap of faith and trust the hundreds of guys we work with.
Do you know what? The other thing that I think what also happens is you're making those 3 changes, and we often make a lot of our decisions subconsciously, don't we? Right.
Yeah.
So the subconscious of you making those changes is that maybe you do naturally just move your body a bit more. Maybe you do make that choice on a salad instead of Burger King or McDonald's, so because subconsciously you're like, I'm in a program now, I'm moving forward, I want to get the best results. So yeah, it might look like 3 changes, but I reckon subconsciously you're making way more and you're not even realizing.
Shh, don't give away the secrets.
Just thought about it. Yeah, big effing why I think would help, and focus on those 2 to 3 things, I think, and you'll absolutely move forward. And stop telling yourself you're lacking motivation as well. If you keep, again, like last thing to wrap up, I think it's almost like if you keep telling yourself you're lacking motivation, well, guess what? You're going to lack motivation, right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, I think the last thing to say is like, be careful of what you're saying to yourself, because you'll believe it.
Yeah, the way you talk about yourself is important, isn't it?
Massive. We better wrap up there.
Right, man.
As always, we could talk about this forever, these subjects. We love it. We love it. So guys, as always, we appreciate any questions, any feedback, anything that you want covering. We do this most Thursdays at 9 a.m. And yeah, no, likes and comments and shares really do go a long way. We want to put our message out there, because we enjoy doing this and we enjoy having people, right?
We do. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Cheers, dudes.
Right.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers,
All
guys.
Right. Bye.